Every single week, something crazy happens, but we love it. In the National Football League, it is the Week 5 instant reactions. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund Bloom here to talk about the NFL action. And Sigmund, the internet is undefeated. So when I see the GIFs or memes of Aaron Rodgers crawling now, it's like, oh God, that's not a memory that Jets fans really wanted or wanted to see. It's certainly not a show for London fans, but Vikings fans feeling really, really good because, well, they win. They're 5-0, 23-17 in London. Rodgers, 2 touchdowns, 3 INTs. Garrett Wilson, 101 yards and a touchdown. Alan Lazard had a touchdown. Tyler Conklin had 6 for 55. And the back to the ground game, they're not doing much. I mean, it's 17-7 at halftime. You could still run then, but they just didn't. And they're not running well with Hall or Allen. They're not running enough. Of course, being down doesn't help, but doesn't mean you have to have 100-year-old Aaron Rodgers throwing it 54 times, Bloom.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder where this Jets season is headed, where this Jets franchise is headed. The defense kept the Jets in it, and Aaron Rodgers kept them in it, but he made too many mistakes. There's the Andrew Van Ginkel second touchdown, 2 touchdowns for Van Ginkel. It's week 5. And then an inaccurate last pass to Rodgers had them on the doorstep to maybe score a game-winning touchdown. Well, a game-winning extra point if they could make it. Stephon Gilmore breaks that up, gets the interception. Red alert if you have Breece Hall. Again, newsflash, he doesn't look like he's the best running back on the team. When you watch the game, he's not the best running back on the team, and his workload continues to shrink. He's less efficient. You're still going to keep playing him probably, but there's no way you take him in the first round, maybe even the second round, if you would have seen these first 5 weeks. For Garrett Wilson, you were wondering why you took him in the first round. Games like this, yeah, he averages 6 point something yards per catch, but you're getting the targets. You're getting the way that Aaron Rodgers, a veteran quarterback, leans on his guy that is best at winning at the catch point. Well, not downfield, that's Mike Williams, but you get the point here that Garrett Wilson, when Aaron Rodgers is having to bring his team back from behind, it's going to be a lot of Garrett Wilson. Tyler Conklin, 2 good games out of 3, and the one that wasn't good was played in a downpour. So we like him next week against Buffalo. Alan Lazard continues because of that chemistry with one Aaron Rodgers to have some value. But again, what was it all for? What is it all culminating? Of course, facing a Buffalo team next week that's also wondering what it's all going to be for in the end.
Yeah, getting rid of Sean McDermott. That's what it should be for. But either way, that's for a different show, or actually just later in the
Later
show.
on. Stay
Let's
tuned.
talk about the Vikings side. Sam Darnold, he is him, and certainly feeling it and feeling that confidence.
Yeah, this is a game where actually it wasn't because of Darnold. Darnold should be confident because he's the quarterback of a 5-0 team going into a bye. They won ugly. And is there any other way that you beat the Jets than winning ugly?
No.
So the Jets defense in a revenge game, the Jets defense did put the clamps on the Minnesota offense in a way that nobody has so far this year. So there's going to be some tape for people to study and see how Robert Saleh and company did it. Minnesota still comes out with a win. Aaron Jones hurt in this one. Good timing for the bye, hip injury. He left the game and didn't come back. So I don't know if we'll see him in week 7. Ty Chandler did not look so good. In place of him, Myles Gaskin, who they just re-signed, maybe he's going to figure into this backfield. Also, Sam Darnold got banged up in this one. So this is, again, a well-timed bye. What a great thing to go into your bye, 5-0. Everyone gets to rest. Your surprise Super Bowl contender, Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings, here we go. And yeah, Ravens and Bengals. Here we go? Question mark. But if you're Cincinnati, you only have questions. If you're Baltimore, you have answers in overtime. 41-38, the final. Lamar Jackson is amazing, even on the most busted of busted plays.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson can make it happen, and he did that today. 4 touchdowns passing, 55 yards rushing, 348 yards passing. Amazing. Zay Flowers, 7 for 111. Charlie Coar, 3 for 64 and a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 4 for 58 and a touchdown. Mark Andrews, 4 for 55. Isaiah Likely with 2 touchdowns. He's back. So there you go. And Derrick Henry, not with 200 yards rushing, just 92 yards rushing, including a big 51-yarder and a rushing touchdown. Baltimore, this is the way you win. Cincinnati, you're still left with questions.
Oh, what a game. What a game for fantasy football. Hopefully you had a piece of this game. And Lamar Jackson, you really saw the whole gamut. There was one play when Jackson couldn't handle the snap and he scrambled around and threw an amazing touchdown. Another play was in overtime, not exactly when you want to be fumbling the snap. And Evan McPherson, really the holder, the rookie undrafted free agent punter holder, bailed out the Ravens, and Derrick Henry bailed out the Ravens. Derrick Henry scores to open this up, and then the Bengals jump out to lead because the Ravens' pass defense is vulnerable, and then Derrick Henry in overtime. Derrick Henry is inevitable. Lamar Jackson, inevitable, number one fantasy quarterback through 5 weeks, and this offense is still coming together. Zay Flowers, again, this offense is still coming together. They've had some game scripts that have been very run heavy because they've had big leads. You can see what Flowers can do, likely getting a touchdown, 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews, if Lamar Jackson was just a little bit more accurate, Mark Andrews would have got a touchdown. We'd be speaking about him a little bit differently. Charlie Kolar, remember him? Remember, they took Kolar before they took Likely. He gets a touchdown in this one and gets free downfield also for a big gain. It was right after the one that was not accurate, that Andrews was down at like the 1 or 2, that Kolar gets a touchdown. But the point is, lots of opportunity for tight ends in the passing game here. Okay, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving for these tight ends. So don't bail on Mark Andrews yet. See, what do you do with a team? And even Rashad Bateman, by the way, with a touchdown here, making some plays. This Ravens team could be 5-0. This Ravens team could be 1-4, and this Ravens team is going to face Washington. Yeah, that's going to be another entertaining game.
That's going to be absolutely fantastic. The Bengals are facing the man in the mirror. I mean, at least Jamar Chase got going in a big way. 10 for 193, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins, 9 for 83 and 2 touchdowns. The Iosivas, not much, 1 for 39 in this one. Chase Brown had a receiving touchdown, also 46 yards on the ground. Zach Moss, 24 yards on the ground. Joe Burrow, 392, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Not enough to win. And now sitting at 1-4 going,
Yeah.
I wonder what's next.
Yeah, 1-4. And yet they played Baltimore and Kansas City, arguably 2 of the best teams, maybe the 2 best teams in the AFC. Straight up, should have beat them. Should have beat both of them. But you don't get, not horseshoes, it's not hand grenades. And certainly fantasy football is not like that either. If you have Joe Burrow, it's going to be tough for your opponent to be close to you. He's dealing. This is just like good old times. 2 touchdowns for Chase, running away from defenders. 2 touchdowns for T. Higgins, can't beat him at the catch point. And you did see Zach Moss hurt. Looked like another hip drop tackle. It looked to me like a pretty gnarly ankle injury. He did come back in the game, but we saw Joe Mixon come back in the game. Okay, so we're going to see about Zach Moss. Chase Brown may be getting a big boost in value here. And, Cecil, you would have said, hey, 1-4. Well, you get the Giants. Oh, no. Stay tuned. Getting the Giants right now might not be as easy as it seemed. And the Bengals have very little room for error at this point.
Yeah. All right. Little room for error, but they made it happen. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a win, 37-34 over the Indianapolis Colts. Let's get to it because there is Joe Flacco, Bloom. And you and I had a discussion like, could he really do what he did last year for his new team? And I was like, nope. And you said yes. And we're here a couple of weeks in the Joe Flacco era. And you're going, yeah, he's doing it. I just don't like Joe Flacco. I just don't like Joe Flacco.
Why?
He was a jerk to us at the Senior Bowl. Remember that? And we were like, what's this guy from Delaware?
He's a business. He was all about business. He was all about that business. But he got himself on the radar. That was back when it was a pretty big deal. Because remember, Tyler Palko. Why did you transfer from Pitt? Because who could beat out Tyler Palko? And he going to Delaware and coming to the Senior Bowl was a big, big deal back then. And he had to prove himself. And he did. And then Troy Smith got sick. And the rest is history. But anyway, Joe Flacco, I just think it's amazing that it's 2024 season. Here we are spending time talking about Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco out there for the Colts, not for a win, but still 3 touchdowns, 359 yards. It doesn't matter. Trey Sermon, at least he got a rushing touchdown, right? A lot of people going to the waiver wire. No Jonathan Taylor. Sermon gets 38 yards on the ground. Alec Pierce, 3 for 134 and a touch. Josh Downs, 9 for 69. You got to love that. AD Mitchell, 4 for 38. Molly Cox with a touchdown. Michael Pittman with a touchdown. I think I got them all because I mentioned Alec Pierce. So there you go. Let's talk about the Colts. And, 2-3 now. Okay, Flacco's playing good football, but you got to get on the right side of that ledger.
Yeah, a lot of this going around the league today where quarterbacks play well enough to win except for, with Joe Burrow, it was a late interception that Marlon Humphrey got. With Lamar Jackson, it was the fumble, but then it didn't happen. With Joe Flacco, brought his team back down 14 in the fourth quarter, but a sack he took in the first half that basically gave the Jags a field goal, that ended up being a problem. So that's okay. He was, even as a runner, Joe Flacco had like a 21-yard run. How does that happen? So Joe Flacco defying a lot of age things in this one. And if you went with him, you were really happy for fantasy. He is meshing with that Shane Steichen playbook. See, I think the special sauce with Flacco is that with all the experience he has, remember Jim Caldwell taking over the offense and that incredible Super Bowl run, Jacoby Jones, rest in peace, man. Jacoby Jones, gone too soon. But Joe Flacco just picks up these playbooks, Alex Van Pelt's playbook, Shane Steichen's playbook, and he runs the offense like he's been running it for years. And that's what you saw with short passes to Josh Downs. That's what you saw with long passes to Alec Pierce, who had a whole fantasy football week in about 5 minutes of clock time. Not so much Michael Pittman, who did at least get a short touchdown, had one decent catch. You did see Sermon getting 6 catches in this one and a touchdown because Alec Pierce was down with the 1. So Tyler Goodson even was not bad. So this team being competitive without Jonathan Taylor, not bad. Even Adonai Mitchell had a pass to Goodson. So this is a very potent offense with Joe Flacco. I think we're missing that Anthony Richardson was coming around as a passer before he got hurt last week. And now we'll get to see Indianapolis go to Tennessee next week.
Yeah, and we'll see when Richardson comes back, if he actually can progress as a passer, or if that was just what Vic Fangio would call, and since I said his name, that's a false positive.
Yeah.
Was that just a false positive from Anthony Richardson? Let's talk Jacksonville, who needs a positive from Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they got to win, Bloom. You got to start somewhere. Doug Peterson's like, whew. He might have, I was going to say the plane ride home, the car ride home. They might have just taken his company car from him. But he can thank Tank Bigsby. And he can thank Trevor, man. 371. It's nothing to sneeze at, to be sure. 371 on the day, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. It comes down to 2 guys. Tank Bigsby, 13-101 and 2 touchdowns. And then Brian Thomas. If you want to have fun watching football, just watch Brian Thomas.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. You can even watch a bad team or a 1-4 team like Jacksonville. Just turn on to watch Brian Thomas, and you're going to see exciting football. 5 for 122 and a touch there. Christian Kirk 4 for 88 in this one. Brenton Strange. There you go. Mm-hmm. Although I think Ingram might be back, could be back. Who cares? But whatever. Okay, let's put a pin in that, Bloom. But let's talk about Bigsby, Brian, and the other B, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. B for birthday, Cecil. It's Trevor Lawrence's 25th birthday today. Feliz cumpleaños.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you for that.
Yeah. This is a way to celebrate and reviving maybe this team season, saving Doug Peterson's job for fantasy players. Is there value in Trevor Lawrence? There can be whenever Brian Thomas has an 85-yard touchdown. I'm not exaggerating. And I think that we can see, is it too early to say it was a big 4, not a big 3, a wide receiver, that Brian Thomas belongs with Odunze and Harrison and Neighbors? I mean, Neighbors is really setting that bar very high. Brian Thomas is the number 1 receiver. He's not a number 1 receiver if he's a number 1 receiver. Mm-hmm. And congratulations if you have him. Christian Kirk did have a 65-yarder. Strange got the touchdown after that. So at least Kirk did something. And the big development here is Tank Bigsby. Everybody, Tank Bigsby running over tacklers like a tank, and then breaking a touchdown from, I think, about 60 yards, scoring twice in this one. I think he got more snaps than Travis Etienne. So there's a theme here. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. We underestimated their competition. And in the case of Etienne and really Breece Hall, we overestimated what they could do. Bijan Robinson's still playing pretty well. So Travis Etienne, he's a flex play, folks, going forward. And then Cam Little, the rookie undrafted kicker with the game, sending everyone home happy again on Trevor Lawrence's birthday. Everyone down there in Florida, we're thinking about you. I know Milton is not going to be friendly. Hopefully the forecasts aren't as bad as expected, but for now, Florida, you can enjoy this win.
They say it's your birthday.
No.
Mm-hmm. That's a song from The League by Jean Lajoie, which lyrics that I cannot speak on YouTube for our overlords, and Joe Bryant. So sorry, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Watch a 15-year-old show and you'll know what I mean. I'm modern with my references. I have people skills, damn it. Dolphins and Patriots. Let's just
No
do
skills
this
in
one.
this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
no
just
skill.
do this one at the same time. It's 15-10. Okay, Ramondre Stevenson didn't start, right? But he said 89 yards and a touchdown because they wanted to use more Antonio Gibson, whatever that story was about. I do love Demario Douglas, 6 for 59. Jacoby Brissett's nice, I guess. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 69. We're talking about Tyler Huntley. Jalen Wright did some things. Okay, so that's interesting, right? Mostert out there rocking and rolling. Odell Beckham Jr. was back, didn't do anything. So 2 teams all at once, Bloom, because it's 15-10. Dolphins beat the Patriots.
Yeah, this one went about as expected. On the Miami side, hey, I mean, you're 2-3 going to the bye. You lost your starting quarterback. It's been a miserable start to the season. The season's not over yet. Devin Achane suffered a concussion in this one. Well-timed bye. Maybe we'll see him in week 7. But what we will see is a rejuvenated Dolphins running game where Mostert gets a jump started in place of Achane, and then there's Jalen Wright and that speed. So that's something good coming out of this one. Tyreek Hill wasn't a lineup liability. Jalen Waddle wasn't a lineup liability, at least in this one. Again, we'll see if Tua comes back in week 7. And even Johnny Smith has had 2 decent fantasy games so far for the Miami Dolphins. So we're not going to carry him through the bye, but in the merry-go-round of tight ends where we're trying to just pick someone that's going to get us 10 points, get 10 points for us in a PPR league. And then we'll light our Tua Tagovailoa prayer candles for him to be back and to stay healthy in this one. Going forward for New England, yes, Antonio Gibson started. It was ceremonial. And then Ramondre Stevenson comes in, breaks a 33-yard touchdown. So late in the game, when the New England was trying to come back, last drive, it was Gibson. So maybe not 100% trust in Stevenson yet, but enough to trust him in your fantasy lineup, at least as a flex play. Jalen Polk almost had the game-winning touchdown, or at least the go-ahead touchdown in the last minute. Almost. Didn't quite get both feet down. I did see Demario Pop Douglas make some catches here. So as deep leagues, he's kind of a Hail Mary. It's not time for Drake May yet. If you're waiting for this offense to firm up, I don't know. Maybe we'll be waiting a while. They're going to face the Houston Texans. Drake May against Donnell Hunter and Will Anderson. Nah, let's let his first NFL start be against somebody else.
Yeah, that's later. And he's never, ever going to be what Jaden Daniels is. Oh my God, I love Jaden Daniels. Washington, Cleveland up next. 34-13, the final score. Commanders get the win. They're 4-1. Feeling it. Browns are 1-4. I could go through the box score for the Browns, Bloom, but I'd rather do this with you in our time together, Bloom.
Yeah.
When are they benching Deshaun Watson? I mean, it's just not good. It's just his play is terrible. It doesn't look like he wants to be there. He's basically going against his coach's wishes there. It's like, all right. And ownership can only say so much, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just not like it was ever fun for a couple of Steelers honks to talk about the Browns, but it's not fun talking about Cleveland and Deshaun Watson. So whatever.
Yeah. Matt Waldman, Cleveland. It's not even fun to make fun of them right now.
Right.
And this is kind of like a Bryce Young thing where Myles Garrett is saying, hey, this isn't Browns standards. I mean, something's got to change. Early on, Watson got stopped on 4th down, and that was pretty much the end of the afternoon for them. Nick Chubb, save us. Jameis Winston, save us for fantasy football. Cleveland's going to place Vic Fangio, who would like to face Deshaun Watson every day because you pick up that Philadelphia defense coming off of their bye, unless we hear that Jameis Winston is in. Maybe even if we do hear that Jameis Winston is in, because Browns fans, real quick, I was just reflecting. We saw 3 big names at quarterback change teams via trade in the last couple of years. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson. Look at the teams that traded those quarterbacks away and look at the teams that receive those quarterbacks and where those teams are right now. Quarterback decisions is not just first round busts that can change the course of your franchise. Trade for the right quarterback, Super Bowl. Rams, trade for the wrong quarterback. Hell, that's where the Browns are right now.
Unleash hell. That's what Jaden Daniels.
Hockey sticks, yeah.
Jaden Daniels. That's what he does every single week on your backside on your head yet. Jaden Daniels, 238, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, 82 yards rushing. Jeremy McNichols with a rushing touchdown. I thought Brian Robinson was banged up.
Yeah.
Because Eckler was supposed to come back, and he did come back. 6 for 67. He looks fine, everybody. He looks like the old Eckler before that concussion. He did before the concussion, and after the concussion, he looks like that. Brian Robinson, though, scores 2 touchdowns, although I didn't think he was supposed to play. Terry McLaurin, 4 for 112. De'Ami Brown, and it's been there, Bloom.
Mhm.
We've seen it with Brown with that speed, but then you get to see it come together with the beautiful. What was Jaden Daniels' number one skill at LSU? What was, and everyone's
Yeah.
going to say running.
Mm-mm.
It was the beautiful deep passes.
Yeah,
I'm
bucket
gonna go,
accuracy.
yes, I'm gonna go snowball from you on Clerks. Like, it's beautiful, man. Like that. Yes, it's that. And with De'Ami Brown, you get to see it for a shared moment.
Yeah, this was easy for Washington. The 4-1 Washington Commanders.
Wow.
And Jaden Daniels had a good fantasy day today, even though Terry McLaurin dropped a touchdown, even though his running back scored 3 touchdowns, even though the game was over at halftime, and even though he wasn't even accurate. This was by far his worst game in terms of accuracy. And he still had a really good fantasy game. All those things working against him. So, yeah, man, I cannot wait for Jaden Daniels against Lamar Jackson. And poor Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who had 2. There's your one Browns player who's still playing up to Brown standards. But there was one point when he had a free run at Jaden Daniels. I encourage everyone to go look at this play. He had a free run at Jaden Daniels. And he was not even close. I mean, if you had given JOK like 8-foot long arms, he still probably would not. And Daniels, see, what it shows me is his athleticism, his suddenness, combined with his ability to process visual information, off the charts. Off the charts. Just pray this guy stays healthy so we can watch him every week. I don't even care about fantasy football. I just want to watch him play football. Jaden Daniels is one of those players who the play when he escaped and hit Terry McLaurin deep. That was, I mean, this stuff is beautiful. This is football the way that the football gods meant for it to be played. And Brian Robinson, ineffective, 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler still has that burst. Even Jeremy McNichols scores. Roster him. Roster everybody in this offense, right? I mean, well, not everybody. Terry McLaurin could have had a bigger day, as I said, but still, you'll take it. That's the other thing. Terry McLaurin has barely even gotten started of what he can do. And against a team like Baltimore with a poor pass defense and an offense that can keep up with Jaden Daniels, you know, that we may see that game get. What's the over-under should be like 80. And like you said, De'Ami Brown, we know his skill coming out of college is the deep ball. So you love all of this. Baltimore and Washington are like 30, 40 miles away. I know that's not really a rivalry, but with these 2 quarterbacks, it should be.
It should be. And well, what should be in Buffalo is something for a larger conversation. Now it's Buffalo, Houston. And you're going to look at the box score and you'll be like, well, 23-20, tough one on the road. Bills drop it. And the Texans and their jerseys, lovely, they win. So you're going to look at that and you're going to like, okay, yeah, I mean, road and this is a playoff preview. And, you make all sorts of excuses for Sean McDermott. And they won't, Bloom, but they need to get rid of Sean McDermott. Like, for the love of God, his coaching decisions alone, and just he's a less likable John Fox. He can turn you around. Remember, it came from Rex Ryan, and like, oh my God, like he's here. He's not leaving. Like Rex Ryan would work like noon to 3 and leave, and go get a blankety blank snack. Sorry, Joe, but it's like McDermott's there, so it's like, yeah, that was however long ago. Bloom, why are you talking about old stuff?
Yeah.
It's like he can turn you around, but he can't get you over the hump. And this whole Josh Allen thing and the big hit and all it bounced his head off the turf, like that's not even, funny, nothing to make fun of.
No.
But this whole just McDermott idea of what they can be, you're not going to get where you need to be. You're going to waste Josh Allen. And yeah, I go through the box score, whatever, Bloom. I'll let you do it.
Yeah.
Because all I want to do is complain about Sean McDermott.
Yeah, well, the only thing in this box score really is James Cook, and he was the only thing working early, had like 60 total yards right away. Josh Allen, he misses Khalil Shakir, first of all. That's the scramble drill guy. That's the guy he trusts without
struggle target.
I mean, that's the guy. And yeah, Keon Coleman had a 49-yard touchdown on 4th down. It was a play that you saw the speed, but otherwise, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, big disappointment, nothing. And Josh Allen is taking too many hits. And see, so I think this is one of those things maybe we're seeing also with Anthony Richardson, where just because a quarterback is big, and what happened to Cam Newton? What happened when the hits piled up on his body?
Yep.
Okay. Andrew Luck was a big, formidable quarterback. Okay. It doesn't matter. Even if the guy's built like a defensive end, you can't keep subjecting your quarterback to these hits. You cannot do it. And look, I'm looking at Sean McDermott and I'm saying, it isn't your team's interest. This is your franchise. This is obviously concussed in this one. Obviously. Clearly. And yeah, I get it. He wants to come back out there. Hide his helmet. That's why they say to do that.
Yeah.
He should not be out there, and you're risking his career. You're risking his career by letting him to come out there after he so obviously had a brain injury. Anybody could see it. He was in distress. See, so you know that terrible feeling when you're watching a football game and they zoom in and you can see the eyes behind the helmet and you see distress behind those eyes. Of course he's going to go back in. You don't let him. And then if you're going to let him risk his health for a win, and you are pinned inside of your own 5 with less than a minute left in a tie game, and you're attempting passes, what are you doing, Sean McDermott? I know he explained at least he was accountable. That, Cease, in the years we've been doing this show, probably one of the most inexplicable coaching decisions I have seen. And of course, it sets up the Texans to get the game-winning field goal. Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does. And look, if you're a Super Bowl contender, you shouldn't get your ass, sorry, Joe, handed to you by the Ravens. Okay. And you certainly should not set up your quarterback to suffer multiple brain injuries. And you should not be giving a game away with coaching decisions that are coaching 101. If I was coaching a flag football team of 9 and 10-year-olds, I would know not to do that. I would know that you play for overtime. So a really, really disappointing game for Buffalo. And Cease, I think you can see just over the course of a season how quickly, because a couple weeks in, everything was great. Tua's the hurt quarterback with the brain injury. Buffalo's fine. Buffalo's going to skate to another division title. Buffalo's maybe be the number 1 seed. Now, Buffalo, they don't look like a playoff team. They don't even look like a good team.
That sucks. Yeah. I don't want Josh Allen to be what would have been type of story.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at least Cam got there, and it happens quick too when it falls off for those big guys like Cam, and Luck kind of just retired. But it's like Josh Allen can play. Now he can't. And I'm not saying that's here now. I don't believe that is. But you keep piling up these hits, it's going to be. Yeah. And you got to protect your franchise. But Sean McDermott is selfish. I bet he thinks he could do it with anybody. You can't. No. You have Josh Allen, and you're the one screwing it up, Sean McDermott. You're the one screwing it up. The reason why Buffalo won't win the Super Bowl is not Josh Allen.
No.
1,000% Sean McDermott. And until ownership gets that, they'll just keep doing the same thing over and over for those fans that have just, they've loved them up forever.
Yeah, and suffered.
Yeah, suffer. Love is suffering, right?
Yeah. Attachment, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk Texans side. You're attached to C.J. Stroud. How about that? What a segue. They're attached to Joe Mixon, but he can't play because he's hurt, and neither can Dameon Pierce. So Cam Akers gets 42 yards and a rushing touchdown. Nico Collins gets 78 yards and a receiving touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 82 in revenge game. C.J. Stroud, 331, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. And the Texans at home, don't adjust your television. That's their jerseys. Yeah. And, they get that W.
A big win, 4-1, and getting a nice lead on the division. Akers and Ogunbowale early. Ogunbowale actually gets a lot of the work late. Akers at least got a touchdown. Ogunbowale, the game-winning touchdown last week. This week, if Mixon can't go against New England, you're going to be able to run the ball a lot against New England. They should be nursing a lead in that one. Nico Collins scores from 67 yards and leaves with a hamstring injury. So hopefully it's not like the Evan Ingram injury where it's another week and another week and another week. But you also don't want Nico Collins to come back too early from that injury. Don't think we're going to see him against New England. Honestly, I'd say why risk him? Honestly, why? Why would
You're
you even
fine.
risk Nico Collins? You're fine because you got Stephon Diggs, you got Tank Dell. I know Dell wasn't a great play this week, but maybe look for him next week, and even Dalton Schultz. Buffalo's D is solid. Buffalo's defense is not the reason this team is feeling like things are slipping away. But Houston, nothing is slipping away for this team after a little rocky takeoff. They're beating teams that are the teams they kind of have to beat if they want to tell themselves they're a Super Bowl contender. New England's not one of those teams, so don't overlook that trap game, because New England still has competitiveness, but Houston has talent.
It is Carolina and the Bears up next here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom. Not much of a game because the Bears just straight up clown hammered them 36-10. The final score of the Bears are 3-2. The Panthers are 1-4. Andy Dalton and Bryce Young both got to play, didn't do much. Chuba Hubbard, thank God he's supporting your fantasy team. 97 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. When's Jonathan Brooks going to be ready? Pretty soon. Jalen Coker, 4 for 68 in this one. Jonathan Mingo, why am I even talking about anybody else? Let's talk Carolina side, which basically means Hubbard and maybe sell high if Brooks is going to be back soon enough, Bloom.
Yeah, old Mother Hubbard. I looked into my crystal ball in August and it said that Chuba Hubbard would be one of the most valuable picks in fantasy football. The interesting thing here is that the Panthers did not open Jonathan Brooks' window to return to practice. And at some point, you wonder whether it's rational to just not bring him back this year. Why? A second-round pick? And knock off the rust, etc.
Do you know who missed their rookie season and was excellent for the rest of his career?
Who's that?
Ricky Waters.
Yeah.
Had a broken leg at Notre Dame, didn't play. Yeah. Then when he did play, he was one of my favorite running backs of all time, man.
Yeah. So why not? Why not? So we'll see. Keep holding on to Brooks. We saw Bryce Young at the end of the game. We're not going to see Bryce Young next week, but just know that's a little foreshadowing. We will see Bryce Young again. At some point, you put him back out there to get the reps. And if you're really so afraid of putting him out there that you don't even want him to just get reps to build back his confidence, well, then we know it's over for him in Carolina. And it's over for Deontay Johnson as a wide receiver 1. Maybe he's a wide receiver 3 flex next week, going up against Atlanta. But you can see now that he turned back into a pumpkin. Andy Dalton against a good Bears defense turned back into a pumpkin. Jalen Coker goes in for Xavier Legette. You're excited to Xavier Legette, first-round pick, starting, injured shoulder after 1 catch. So Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent, deep dynasty leagues, pay attention to that guy. And even after Andy Dalton, Cecil was like the defibrillator. Oh, we've got a pulse.
Hey.
No, we don't. Call the morgue.
Oh, God. Let's talk about Caleb Williams growing. You know what I mean? And one of the way that he's growing, Bloom, is like just throw to DJ Moore as much as you can.
Yeah.
And they're setting it up for him to do that. I know a coaching staff that wants to save their jobs because the problem's never been Caleb. The problem is the coaches. We're in a problem today. Roschon Johnson with a couple of rushing touchdowns. DeAndre Swift with a rushing touchdown at 73 yards. And then Caleb, 20 of 29, 304, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. It's great. And getting it to DJ Moore, 5 for 105, 2 touchdowns. Cole Kmet, 3 for 57 in this one. Swift also had 47 yards receiving, which helps his day. Rome Odunze with 5 for 40, so there's a little struggle target action. And Keenan Allen, 3 for 33. But Caleb is getting it, and they're also... well, they're running the hell out of the ball with 39 carries on the day as a team and only 29 passing attempts in, a game where you're going to run the ball more because you're up 27-7 at half.
Yeah, that's the thing. Caleb Williams had 300 passing yards in this one, and the game was over at halftime. Kirk Cousins gets to pick on this Carolina pass defense next week. DJ Moore, not sitting at the end of the bench by himself, not sulking. And I'm not saying that to pick on him because he was the squeaky wheel that needed the grease, and he is that good, and he is the best receiver on the team. And even when a 300-yard game, well, there wasn't anybody else because there's Kmet, and there's Everett, and there's Odunze, and there's Keenan Allen, and DeAndre Swift, who still looks terrific. DeAndre Swift easily could have 2 touchdowns in this one. Instead, it's Roschon Johnson with 2, Swift still with 1. As they're establishing the runs, Johnson is going to be that goal line back. And wow, now it looks like they're going to have goal line opportunities because of their defense, because of their passing game, because of DeAndre Swift, who it's all of memory. The first couple of weeks when the Bears offense fire Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron's what's wrong with his team. Well, I mean, maybe they just got Shane Waldron. I don't know if they just disregarded his game plan or against a defense like the Panthers. It doesn't matter. It's all going to work. Next week against Jacksonville, we'll see. Jacksonville, a little harrowing experience against Joe Flacco. Like you said, sees Caleb Williams growing. Should be an interesting matchup. And the Bears are very interesting and balanced on offense. Good defense coming around.
I have a question from our guy Chris here. What do you do with Keenan Allen? I have a feeling he'll be on Shut Him Down tomorrow.
Yeah, or I mean, depends on the depth of your league. He's just bye week emergency depth because if he's not doing it in a 300-yard game against a defense like Carolina, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Because it is a Broncos show, and the Broncos ended the streak to the Raiders. They had lost. They were the last team to beat the Oakland Raiders, and then they had never beaten the Las Vegas Raiders until today. Do you believe? And the score isn't as close as game wasn't as close as the score indicates, and doesn't even indicate a close score. 34-18. Gardner Minshew is benched for Aiden O'Connell threw a 100-yard pick six to Pat Surtain. They couldn't run the ball, though Amir Abdullah had some garbage time stuff and a rushing touchdown. Brock Bowers, 8 for 97 and a touch. That was with P.J. Locke covering him. The two targets that were intended for Bowers with Surtain on him led to 2 INTs. So
they should have listened to you, Cease.
They did eventually. I asked VJ about it on Thursday. Yeah. I asked him about it on Thursday. He's like, well, you just got to play ball and matchups. And I was like, okay, that means yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, VJ. They had some nice Jordan 3s on. So I said, nice shoes. He said, thanks, brother. So yeah, we're tight. Me and VJ, we're good. But let's talk about the Raiders side. Yeah, we are back. Because, well, does it even matter if there's a change of quarterback? Because my mind's like, maybe they're changing. I don't care. Maybe they're, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Gardner Minshew, he gave Bowers a chance on that 57-yarder to open the game. Eventually, they didn't want to give him any more chances. I mean, what do you have to lose with O'Connell? Minshew, you know what you're going to get. O'Connell, you probably know what you're going to get, but he's in the second year of a rookie contract. Jacoby Myers was okay in this one. Trey Tucker, not so much. You did see Amir Abdullah getting the garbage time touchdown, not Alexander Madison. He still looks pretty good, but if the team's not competitive, it might not matter. And it's really sad, Cease, because the Raiders, they're really another team. And I mean, it's the Raiders. They're pirates, right? They're not nice people. That's the whole Raiders thing. And Raiders Steelers at one time was one of the rivalries in the NFL. I mean, it was one of the hardest hitting matchups in the 70s. It was amazing. And this was once such a proud franchise. This was a franchise that helped the NFL rise to the levels that we know it at today. Mm-hmm. And now the pirate ship is just adrift, a ship of fools. And it's sad. It's sad to see the uniforms and to know going into a matchup with the Steelers, maybe you don't play Aiden O'Connell because you just don't want to sacrifice him right off the bat, because Antonio Pierce, it was great for the last couple of weeks of the season, but a lot of things can happen in December that are mirages. This is not a mirage. Las Vegas has a team. We still have a team at least wearing the Raiders colors and uniform, but they're not really a football team.
We had the Broncos wearing the 77 throwbacks and the legacy blue helmets that we haven't seen since 2001. So yeah, Bo Nix was out there, but it just didn't look good for the first half. And then it looked okay, right? Not going overboard, but it was okay. Because Javonte Williams was your leading rusher and leading receiver. 5 for 50 as a receiver, 13 for 61 on the ground. So we can say in 2 weeks, like, okay, he's back. He's back to, maybe it's 60 yards, but if you get 50 over 100 all purpose, you're going to take that. Court, 2 for 32. They tried forcing some stuff. It wasn't working. Troy Franklin dropped a 45-yard touchdown pass. Right there. Josh Reynolds had a touchdown, although he had some drops there as well. Lucas Kroll had a catch. So there you go. And then Jaleel McLaughlin, just get him in the flat near the goal line, and jock straps are going to be everywhere. You're throwing them out, like throwing underwear.
You mean like at Motley Crue concerts?
Exactly. Throwing underwear up on the stage. And Bo Nix with 206, 2 touchdowns, passing, 1 touchdown, rushing. this team believes, and they're on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah, competitive because the defense, and we're seeing the running game, baby steps. But Javonte Williams, McLaughlin, they're both going to be what the heck flexes. Bo Nix is a runner and a receiver. Like you said, it was a slow start, but that's the good news when he has a really good fantasy day. If you did go with him this week because, hey, Jared Goff's on by, you needed a quarterback. Bo Nix came through for you, looking like a good pick in 2 quarterback super flex where you got him. Like you said, with Troy Franklin, we're still waiting. We're going to keep those big receivers out there. And we will see, is this a team that just took advantage of the schedule? Because remember, Andy Dalton looked amazing against the Raiders just a couple weeks ago, okay? The Chargers are not going to be an easy out next week. We're going to learn where this Broncos team really is in that game.
Yeah, we are going to learn, and we're going to see what that's like. Until then, we will move forward. Arizona, Kyler Murray started celebrating at like the 45 on that big run. It's like, okay, that was fun to watch, but man alive, he's celebrating for most of that run.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals get the win 24-23 over the 49ers. Murray 195, 1 touchdown, 1 INT through the air. The touchdown, Elijah Higgins. And then Michael Wilson, 5 for 78. Trey McBride, 6 for 53. Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 for 36. James Conner, 19 hard-fought carries for 86 hard-fought yards. And then Kyler with the big 50-yarder and the touchdown there for 83 yards rushing on the day. This one's a nice one for the Cardinals. Nice feather in their cap, certainly, to take down our divisional opponent. Both teams now 2-3.
Yeah. Hello, the NFC West is wide open. Even the Rams, if they had just made a few plays at the end, I mean, the Rams are doing it. The 49ers inexplicably losing games they should win. When you're winning by 10 points at home in the fourth quarter, you should win. You mentioned Kyler Murray. Usually when they say, what's the saying? If you're even, you're leaving. That's about wide receivers. That's about guys like Randy Moss, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a quarterback in this one. Like you said, Kyler Murray. And let's get some more Kyler Murray runs by design. Hey, if he can outrun everybody in the defense, maybe get him the ball out wide in a way that allows him to do that. Trey McBride had a solid game, almost had a touchdown. Michael Wilson, it was his turn to have a good game, as we're not going to see everyone's cup get filled from this passing game. You're still going to see Marvin Harrison Jr. in your lineup every week, but it was James Conner in the second half. And memo to everybody around the league, when you're down 10 points, you don't have to abandon the run. You don't have to. There's no rule that says you have to do that. James Conner was the spark plug. He was the battery that they hooked up to power this offense in the second half and lead them back to a victory. And I don't know if this is a good or bad Arizona team. I don't know if it's a good or bad San Francisco team. I don't know if it's a good or bad Green Bay team. That's who Arizona is going to play next week.
Yeah. Hopefully Jordan Love's not channeling his inner Will Levis. But let's talk about Brock Purdy in this one. Brock Purdy on the flip side of that. All right. 244, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. And then Brandon Ayuk, we were waiting for this. 8 for 147. The 1 touchdown was to George Kittle, 8 for 64 and a touch. Debo, 1 for 11 as a receiver, 3 for 9 as a rusher. Jordan Mason, 14 for 89 in this one. Brock Purdy also 33 rushing yards. So, yeah, I mean, it was close, but they lost, and they're 2-3, and people are looking for answers.
Yeah, they're losing games they should win. They're losing games when they're the better team for most of the game. And this has happened twice now in the division. No bueno. Big game for Brandon Ayuk. And I think we heard a hint. I don't know if it was Kyle Shanahan, someone from the front yard saying, Ayuk's going to have some big days. So it was Ayuk. And this is what we saw last year, right? Out of Ayuk and Kittle and Samuel. And this is even with Jawan Jennings not figuring into the box score. So we're leaving out that Jawan Jennings has become a factor and has gotten Brock Purdy's trust as a big game hunter downfield. It's really hard for all three of them to have a big day. Okay. Kittle had a big day. Ayuk had a big day. Samuel was left out of this one. A key fumble late for Jordan Mason. Otherwise running hard. You love the way Jordan Mason plays the game, but somehow this is that classic snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And you can't lose that many games like this. And look, they're going to turn around and have another divisional game at Seattle on Thursday. So maybe it's a good thing to not let this one set in because they're losing too many games that they should win.
Too many questions, that's for sure. Answers, though, is what we need. In our next one up, Green Bay Packers versus LA Rams here. It's on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't yet. Please and thank you. We appreciate that. And subscribe to us there as well. 24-19 is the final score. Packs 3-2. Rams are 1-4. Jordan Love. All right, Jordan. Calm down there. 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. That was costly. Tucker Kraft, though, your guy, 4 for 88, 2 receiving touchdowns. Just keep throwing to him. The Antavian Wicks disappointing the entire fantasy community with only 2 for 20 in this one. Jaden Reed, 4 for 78. Josh Jacobs, 19 for 73 and a rushing touchdown, and then 1 for 21 as a receiver. So they win. But, yeah, Jordan, don't have to make those throws like that.
Yeah, just take the sack in the end zone. Take the safety. It isn't often that the quarterback, he didn't get free. I think the tackler just forgot to wrap up. And Jordan Love's tumbling out of the end zone. And yeah, just take the safety. And that was a big turning point in this game where the Rams did come close to coming back. But you saw Jaden Reed early. And who had, except for maybe Matt Waldman, who had on their bingo card that Jaden Reed is going to be a player that you treat like a 6'4", 220 guy downfield. Like just throw it up and let him make the play. Into triple coverage. Makes the play. Jaden Reed, everybody. Tucker Kraft, big catch and run touchdown, a short catch and run touchdown. And yeah, this is great when you get 2 touchdowns when you have 3 or 4 catches in this one. You did get a touchdown, and Josh Jacobs is not so much in a committee with Emmanuel Wilson. Don't drop Wilson, not until Marshawn Lloyd's back from IR, maybe even after that, as this is still a good offense, even though we did see what Jordan Love did last week was maybe that the Vikings were in prevent defense officially, but maybe mentally they were in prevent defense as the Rams getting after him. A good pass rush here. Like you said, Dontavian Wicks didn't do much. Bo Melton didn't do much. But Green Bay gets a win. It's NFL. You get a road win, especially against Matthew Stafford. You like that, but you're going to have a home game against hot Kyler Murray and a Cardinals team that's feeling good right now.
A Rams team that is feeling like, when is Stafford going to retire? Or just something. I don't know what they're feeling. But they're 1-4. Stafford goes 260, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. The touchdown to Demarcus Robinson. If you add him in, so what the heck flex. Tutu Atwell, what the heck flex worthy, 6 for 58. Jordan Whittington, probably deep flex worthy, 7 for 89 in this one. Kyron Williams, 22 for 102 and a rushing touchdown, a dash of Blake Corum in this game there as well. The Rams, they don't have answers though, man. 1 win on the season, and things not the way you wanted there.
No, and all the injuries they've had, maybe Cooper Kupp will be back after the bye. So they go into the bye. This team's not out of it, though. Matthew Stafford is showing you this team's not out of it. They weren't out of it in these games that they were outgunned recently. They did beat San Francisco. They didn't get the win here, but they didn't give up in this one. Kyron Williams is fantastic. Kyron Williams is going to be a cautionary example about paying too much attention to draft capital and too much attention to measurables. And I don't know who except the Rams saw this in him, but it's there, and he is playing at a first-round fantasy draft pick level. Blake Corum was a third-round pick in the NFL draft. You did see some of the reason why in this one. So if Corum got dropped, I don't know if you're going to carry him through the bye, but maybe we're going to come back to him because I don't know if Kyron Williams, just like last year, is going to hold up under this kind of punishment, but he is keeping this offense on schedule. Jordan Whittington growing up before our very eyes. Tutu Atwell growing. Don't give him the 2-point conversion. End around to Tutu Atwell is not the call. Okay, no. I love you, Sean McVay. That's not the call. Tutu Atwell he's never seen a pile that he can push. Okay, but Whittington, Atwell, Parkinson, even Demarcus Robinson had a touchdown. So a little bit of improvement in terms of fantasy value and the ability to create fantasy value in this passing game. Everybody gets to rest. What a great competitor. I mean, for fantasy football, we love teams that stay competitive like Matthew Stafford has done with this Rams team. It helps the scores of the other team. It helps everything when teams are playing hard. Memo to the Raiders.
Memo to our final game we're going to talk about on tonight's program. It is the Giants. Wait a second, what? The Giants getting the win. with no Singletary, with no Neighbors didn't play in this one. So there you go. It was a bunch of Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson getting a touchdown there as well. And it was the Giants 29, Seattle 20. Okay. Seahawks 3-2, Giants 2-3. Daniel Jones 257, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Keep it simple, please. Darius Slayton 8 for 122 and a touch. And then Wan'Dale Robinson 6 for 36 and a touch. Theo Johnson 5 for 48. Dynasty wise, we'll watch him. And then Tyrone Tracy. Speaking of dynasty, no Singletary. Everyone's excited. I think he had over 100 yards on less than 10 carries, right? And then he finishes with 18 for 129 on the day. 7.2 yards a carry. That's real nice. Real nice. Also a catch there, too. So, yeah, the road win, travel across the country, beat Seattle. Okay, Giants.
Yeah. Without Malik Neighbors, they don't stand a chance. They stand a lot of a chance in this one. And this game started so inauspiciously for them. Well, auspiciously, it did actually, because they drove down the field. And then on fourth down, Eric Gray trying to reach the ball out at the goal line, got it poked out, and Rayshawn Jenkins with a 100+ return for touchdown right before PS2 had his 100+ return for touchdown. First time that's happened on the same day, I think, in NFL history. Like you said, Cease, every time we tune in on Sunday, we're going to see something we've never seen before. And a Giants team that with running game and pass rush winning. Yeah, we haven't really seen that before. Tyrone Tracy looks good. The David Johnson comparisons, none other than Lance Zierlein. Look, Lance Zierlein doesn't pop up and say, fantasy football people, pay attention very often, okay? When he said back in the spring, this guy, Tyrone Tracy, at this point, you wonder if it's a committee. I mean, I don't know how you go back to giving Tyrone Tracy 2 or 3 touches a game whenever he looks as good as he did. And Eric Ray had some good catch and run early on in the game. But I think in the fumble, you saw that it wasn't even going to be a committee, and it shouldn't be. And Darius Slayton, remember once upon a time in his rookie year, Darius Slayton looked like a future star. Great chemistry with Daniel Jones in the downfield passing game. I guess all it took was Malik Neighbors going out. So now, Brian Daboll's job, the Giants as a team, hey, the Giants, this team does have momentum. They have good players on the defensive line. They have some balance, especially when you add Malik Neighbors out there. And Theo Johnson, in a way, you're seeing the present and the future at the same time, right? Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, in the past, Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton, it all came together on this afternoon as they beat a Seattle team that, well, you look back at the schedule and you say, well, maybe was it just the schedule? And again, the Giants are facing a Cincinnati team that you're wondering about. They play up to their competition. Maybe they're going to have to play up to the Giants next week.
Yeah, not great when Geno Smith's your leading rusher, but 72 yards on the ground, the big 32-yarder there for Seattle. 284, 1 touchdown, no INTs, and it was Jackson Smith and Jigba with the receiving touchdown. Tyler Lockett 4 for 75, Kenneth Walker 7 for 57 as a receiver, 5 for 19 as a rusher. DK Metcalf 4 for 55. So there you go. Yeah, it's Seattle, man. What are you doing? You're at home. What are you doing, Hans? And in that division, man, you don't let games like this slip away.
No, and maybe that's the problem, Cease, is they're looking ahead to San Francisco coming on Thursday night.
Yep.
Absolutely happens in the NFL.
Yep.
Absolutely happens. It's a coaching thing. Mike McDonald, welcome to coaching the NFL. You never go into the ring with your gloves down. Never go into the ring. And they did. They never got the run game established. If you started Ken Walker, at least you got all these dump offs late. Whenever, this was a game at home. Seattle was in desperation prevent mode, coming back against prevent defenses. That's where we were. So at least you did see Geno Smith scratch something out. Remember, Seattle got that 100+ yard return touchdown early. So this game wasn't as close as it looks on the scoreboard. Smith was pretty good in comeback mode. So you did see a JSN touchdown. You did see Tyler Lockett getting open outfield. You did not see DK Metcalf doing much. Deonte Banks, everybody. Deonte Banks is a name that should be on your mind after the way that he played DK Metcalf in this one. And, Seattle, San Francisco, a lot of these teams, it's just like in fantasy football, we're absorbing everything that just happened, maybe some of the emotions about what happened, but you got to turn the page because you got a big game on Thursday night, once one of the NFL's best rivalries, San Francisco and Seattle. And I think from an emotional standpoint, these teams need to not have what happened in week 5 set in. And I guess having to turn around and play, as much as we hate Thursday football, from a mental health standpoint for these teams, it's probably the best just to get back out there and forget about it.
Well, if last week's Thursday night football can be what it is going forward, maybe Al Michaels will be checked in instead of
Yeah.
checked out of the Roach Motel. Down to the last roach, says Al Michaels. Maybe he doesn't say that, but maybe he does, Bloom. Maybe he does. It's good for glaucoma, too.
Al Michaels says, wait a second, I'm still counting my money.
That's right. That's right. We had a rain delay.
Yeah, it's the Steelers game. I don't know if it's even started yet, so it's nice. We got to hang out with everybody. We know, this is our one live show a week, so thank you, everybody. It's awesome to see everybody interacting in the chat room. It's awesome to see our community. We are nothing without y'all, as we are almost into year 20 now of the Audible, 1 year away. That we could not make it here without y'all, and it lifts my spirits. It lifts my spirits to spend time with you, Cease. Lifts my spirits to see all of our people out in the chat room. So many people we've known for so long. It's football that brings us together, but it's our connection to each other that keeps us here and keeps us coming back. And we get to watch some Steelers Cowboys. That's a nice treat.
It used to be. Who knows what it'll be now? Says it's about to start. Allie on base. There you go. Says it's about to start. There you go. Yeah, there we go. So then we get to do the whole show and then go watch the Steelers.
Yeah, and the Padres and the Dodgers baseball. There was an epic baseball game going on during today too, between the Mets and the Phillies. But it's okay. October is fun because we get to watch baseball while we do our fantasy football work, while you're prepared to give Sean Payton all those questions. And it is good. Life is good. I hope everybody can appreciate every moment you can take to say that and to feel that. And again, I want to say, as a New Orleans resident, my heart goes out to everybody that is listening to us or watching us that is down in Florida right now. Take the evacuation order seriously. There's nothing more important than your life, your health, your loved ones. Stuff can be replaced. Houses can be replaced. I hope it's not as bad as they say it's going to be. And we're gonna be here to help each other no matter what happens.
Be safe. Be kind. Know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.